Hey everybody, hope you all had a good weekend. I sure did. I've got a little bit of a cold, but that's alright. I think y'all can understand me. Um, alright, so let's take a look at BTC's weekly close. So we have a hammer candle here, which is a really good sign. We did not want to close, below 63,000, but it is showing some buy pressure here. Now, I still I still think that we're going to do this fifth wave and then get that divergence. So if you didn't see last week's video, that's kind of what I'm talking about. So maybe continuing to fall a little bit here and then over before the halving or so, maybe spike, and then you'd have some kind of longer term correction, right? And then end up somewhere in this box, which is the trend lines here. I mean, they line up pretty well. So you would have your wave one, which would be just as long as the wave 4 to 5, and then your wave 3, which would be the most impulsive wave, and then you'd fall right out of this channel, coming back down over a bear market cycle. Now, that just fits really, really well. If we end up, if this ends up not playing out and we close candles above here somehow, then we would relook at stuff. But by this time, I think a lot of the altcoins will be kind of looking a lot like BTC. Like a lot of the altcoins are still kind of down here, right? And this is also a pretty good. So let's look at this really quick. All right, so I've got so much stuff drawn on here. So take kind of a mental image of this. So you've got your consolidation range here, you break above support, and then you consolidate within this box. Okay, so you've got your accumulation range here, you've got one there, you've got your main one right here, right? So it breaks out of this accumulation range and it kind of sits on top, and then it goes parabolic. Okay, so we're going to look at some altcoins and kind of compare what really happens here. And a lot of the times, I mean, this one didn't really do that all that much. I mean, you did have a little bit. You just had a very short bear market here, right, or a bottoming. So you consolidated here and you went parabolic. Okay, it came down and retested it. However, this accumulation range was a whole lot different. It was a lot longer, and then you stayed on support for a long time. Like this just went straight up, right? So just like this is kind of just going straight up here. You do have some support here, but we at least did consolidate here, so it was kind of healthy, more healthy than this over here. Now this part's not very healthy, and then this moving up this much wasn't healthy, so that's kind of why we came back down to retest. So that's kind of what we're going to look at in some of the altcoins. Now on the indicators, whenever we're looking at the weekly here, you've got a cross down, which cross downs are typically not a good sign, okay? But we haven't passed through the 80 line, so you could literally do something like this, right? Just stay up here for a while, as long as we got bullish the next week. We don't have divergence anywhere, bearish divergence yet. But like up here, we stayed up there for a really long time. Here we didn't, but we had a recross, but you had divergence down here. crossed through here, and this is kind of early in the bull market, but we had a cross back up and then we stayed up there for a while. So that can happen. I mean, we can stay up there for a really long time. So keep that in mind. I think the 3-day closed today too. You've also, this is a really short-term time frame, but we did have a little channel here, and we've actually broken out of it. So we've closed out of it, so hopefully we can retest this trend line and then start to make it up. Even on the 3-day, we haven't closed below that trend line yet. And we've broken out of the little flag here. All right, so that covers BTC. The important one I really wanted to cover, because this one's kind of exciting. ICP. So we covered ICP, I think, last week. And things look really, really good for ICP. All right. So on corrections, you can have your wave one, and then you have a correction. It can be a sideways flat, is what this one, I believe this is called a sideways flat, or maybe even a flat. Actually has to come down here, but there's a bunch of different types of corrections, and you can have an ABC, right? So you just don't really know. But this pattern was kind of a telltale sign, and then getting bought up right back here was a very strong buy pressure right here. So that was a really good sign. So most likely, if this one looks like this next one is probably going to be pretty ugly. So you would have an A, B, and then a C, right? So you could do something like this and then have a scary fall. There's a lot of different ways that can play out. So there could be any kind of correction, but I just would expect some other kind of correction on the next one. So what we can do here, kind of a longer term picture, is a left shoulder. Well, I don't think this is actually going to play out, to be quite honest, but it could end up looking like that. But let's watch and see. We're just kind of guessing right there, but I mean that would bring the target for that would be stupid. So I don't really think that's going to play out. It might look like it, and then BTC tops or whatever, and then this thing tops at the same time. So this first wave, let's take a projected move from the bottom here to the top of the first wave was 470%. So if ABC correction is over here, this one should be at least 480%. It's probably going to be higher. So $60 would be your match of this. Normally, wave 3 is normally bigger. So you'd have close to $60, which I think it would go past this, maybe hit this level somewhere up here around $70 before any sort of correction. But we'll look at the indicators and the divergence and all that stuff. But then you'd have a pullback and then a fifth wave. Now you can see this volume was declining here, and then you also see it start to ramp up here. And then even in this correction, you had a small amount of declining sell volume, and we started to break out of that as well. Let's see on the daily. Yeah, so you've got this declining volume here, and then you're starting to you really want to see bigger candles, but I expect they're probably going to come in here pretty soon. This has almost made a new high. It needs to get past 17, which that most likely that's going to happen here pretty soon. So you're about to pass through the 0 line on the daily. 3-day, you've got a cross. It didn't cross the MACD yet, but you do have bullish divergence here as well. And then you've got that cross, which is a really big deal for the 3-day. And then the weekly, I don't think this is confirmed, but I mean, that's a bullish, really bullish sign too. And then you've also got a bullish engulfing candle. So this, it was kind of obvious that this would at least move up a little bit, right? But I do think we're moving into our wave 3 here. So that one's going to be pretty exciting, hopefully. Now, again, if BTC just turns around, then everything's going to get pretty smashed. There wasn't... So, let's actually look at GALA, and then we'll look at that new purchase I bought. And I'll explain why. I also bought GALA this week again. And I think... I can't remember if I put this in the group chat, but I was following this for quite a while. So you do have a falling channel or a flag here. It's kind of a small flag, so it's not a very big breakout. But because we had this resistance here, I think if I looked at a different chart, it would show the resistance level like right here or something. I think I put it here. Let me just see if I can find that. No, I guess I got rid of it. Either way, I think we had a box right here. It hit that box and then sold off like 40% or something like that. So we do have our breakout here. You do have the daily starting to pick up here. You do have bullish divergence as well. On the 3-day, hopefully we can get a cross here, but things look pretty good for it. And then the weekly, so this is not a good sign, right? Like if you just bought and sold at every cross, so like for example you cross and you pass the 80 line, boom, you had you don't buy back until you pass the 80 line again, right? And then you'd buy again right here, and then you would sell right here, and it worked out. You would buy down here, and then you would sell right here, and it would, most of the time, that actually works out. But I think it's mainly during wave 3 is that just doesn't work, okay? And that's where the biggest money is really made. So you want to kind of pay attention to the waves that you're at. And then plus you've got a doji right here, a weekly doji. That's a very strong signal, a reversal signal. So you're going down, you see a doji, a whole bunch of buy pressure right above this support level. So just like in BTC, we have our accumulation box, and this was drawn in for a while, and then now you have this little box here. And then BTC ran, right? So this is kind of what we're looking at. A lot of these alts are just behind. And we should see this bigger move coming in a lot of these altcoins. Now, we can look at, I'm sure we can look at other coins too and see that. Yeah, so right here on ADA in the last cycle, I would have drawn in some kind of, if you were with me in this last cycle, I would have drawn in some kind of box like this. So that's your accumulation range. And then this is your little box, right? This is all that you saw at that point. And then boom, you have a bullish engulfing candle. So you're in this range, you start to see bullish candles coming in, you're getting bought up right here, and then boom, you're in your bigger wave 3. And then you were also consolidating above support, so you probably had another leg up because we didn't really look like we did a 5th wave right here. And this is kind of the same situation right here. You've got your accumulation range, and then you have the little box right there. Looks pretty identical, doesn't it? It's actually testing the top of the box here. It's testing the top of the box here. And then boom. Now, one thing I want to point out is that ADA, let's go from this point. We're going to go from this point to this point. So that was 532%. Okay, so from this point to this point is 177%. All right, so ADA is not going to perform like it did last time. So 177, and then this was 500. So what is that? 2/5. 2/5 of the rise. So let's go from this low. So what's that? 2,000% would be 2/5. I think it's a little bit less. So 2,000% from where it's at right here. So that would only bring you to $5 on ADA. So those targets wouldn't even apply. So that's something we'll have to look at and pay attention to. That's just one. These targets are the grand Fibonacci, so that's one indicator. And is it congruent with this theory over here? No, it's not. $5 is the deal here. So let's just put a horizontal line somewhere around $5. It'd probably be a little bit less than that, but let's see. We gotta see where BTC ends up and everything like that. Well, we put it from this point. From that low point, let's see. So that changes things a lot. Two-fifths of that would be like let's say 3,000%. That would be actually really congruent with that grand fib. So well, that's something we're gonna have to look at the waves and then measure it all up again when we get close to that area and with time. So we should be able to project pretty close to where it'll be. All right, so let's look at BOME. So this is just a meme coin, right? Just another meme coin that came out, and Beam coins are doing really, really well right now. The volume, I wanted to buy this because the volume was multiplied. It was like twice the size of the market cap. So it just means there's a lot of eyes on it, right? So this should start to move up. When there's not really a formation, and a lot of the times most of these that come out, they end up dropping, but we're in wave 3, so wave 3 can actually push this up as long as the other stuff is going up. So we're just going to see. It's just kind of fun money at that point. One of the guys brought it to me in the group, and he said he bought some, and I looked at the volume. I thought it was interesting, so I decided to put a large order in there just to see. I do want to look at some of these other coins. XRP. Sorry for my nose. It's annoying. I mean, nothing really special on XRP. I mean, it's not since last week. It still looks really, really good. Just kind of waiting for this thing to take off here. So you've broken out of the trend line that's lasted almost a year. This trend line right here has lasted a year. I'm sure there's another trend line right here. That's kind of ugly. I mean, you've cleared that trend line a long time ago. You retested it, and then now you have this new trend line here, and you've retested it, getting close to the end of the apex. I mean, that wouldn't, if it went all the way to the end, which most of these I don't think go all the way to the end. It would be like in November, but I would expect this to break out. I mean, you've got too much stuff on the indicators that are suggesting that this is going to break out pretty hard. The daily's curving up, so yeah, just be patient. I mean, this thing just makes huge moves really, really quick. I mean, this was one day that it went up 100% in one day, and it does those kinds of moves very frequently. So from this bottom to this top over here was 250%. I mean, it just has huge moves. I think there's a lot of eyes waiting for this to break out and retest the top of this trend line. A lot of big money will buy there. They don't really care much about the price. They just wait until it breaks out, and then they buy on a retest or they buy on the breakout. There's probably a lot of orders sitting up here at 90 cents or whatever, trying to catch 100% or whatever it is. It's a couple 100%. But I think when this breaks out, I would really expect it to just look something like this. Just boom. Huge move. XLM is being super lame, just like Litecoin. We'll look at Litecoin here in a little bit. Came back into our box, and then it popped out again. Whoa. But it also hasn't really moved here. But this is your accumulation range, the first one, and then here's your other one. I mean, you still have bullish divergence on this too. So here, and then price is going up a little bit. It's almost like hidden bullish divergence. But you had something like that over here. You had your accumulation range. And then you had this little spot here. Broke out of it, came back, retested the box, and boom. So we came out of it, we've retested the box, so it should just start to move. So just waiting for that one. All the boxes check for that as well. LTC, USD. LTC did pass through the zero line this week. It confirmed it this week, so that's a really good sign. Every time we've done that, we've went up quite a bit. So here's the point where we passed through the zero line. Boom. It's that really should be your wave 3 right here, except it was a ABC correction. So we should see something like that here. And this was our wave 1 whenever we passed through it. So it still did move up here, but we've already had our wave 1, so we should be in 3. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've got bullish divergence here too, so hopefully in the next couple days this thing's going to move. So I've been talking about LTC for forever, and it feels like a broken record, but I don't think LTC is going to go away. I probably will sell it though, and I probably never buy LTC again. I really don't like waiting this long on something like that. Oh, SHIB. Okay, so I posted on SHIB today. Let's take a look. Okay, so I don't exactly know what's going to happen on SHIB here. So, let's look. So a bull flag breakout, your target is from the flag, the top of the flag. Let's go with the shorter. I mean, you might be able to get away with this, but let's go with shorter, because you always want to be able to get out and not miss the actual target, right? And then the breakout, we've already broken out right here. So where would that bring us? That would bring us to a new all-time high, just barely, about 300% from where we're at. And SHIB moves really, really quick. But could we make like a right shoulder here before we actually start to move up? Yes. Could we go straight up from there? Yes. Indicators, I mean, there's nothing super special about the indicators. Let's look at the candles. have a hammer candle too, so that's a pretty bullish side. So this can really break out at any moment. Could just come back down, retest this bull flag, and then take off. There's just a lot of things that can happen. I just don't know when it's going to happen. You do have declining volume on the fall as well, which is a good sign for another breakout. If we're looking at Elliott wave, you know, this makes a lot of sense for wave 3. But the bull flag, I would probably play the bull flag out before I would play out Elliott wave. I mean, wave 5 can be pretty large too. So keep that in mind. I said that I was out of SHIB. I still have 20% of my position. Everything else I think is an ICP, XLN, or XRP, and I'll play that 20% however it turns out, and then move on from there. I have a lot of coins, so if they pop up and I can get cheaper coins of another one, then I would. If I still had my cash from SHIB, I would have already re-entered SHIB, and then I would just wait, or at least half of it. I'd re-enter and then buy other coins, but I don't. So so we've covered quite a few. We can look at BCH real quick and see what it's doing. I mean, BCH looks really good. So you've got a bullish engulfing candle here. You might have a cross in the next week. So this looks pretty good too. So here's your accumulation range, and then here's your smaller range there. You've retested it, looks like. Pretty close to it, and then you should start running from there. Now, could this go crazy? Yeah. I mean, this can go pretty wild, so there's just a lot of different ways that can play out, right? Could it do something like this? I think wave 3, if we're actually going to break out of this, we would probably break out of it in wave 3. And then come back down to retest to go higher. And this whole thing could have just been an A, B, C correction, and we break out of this wedge here. Let's look at the total 2 market cap. So this is kind of where we're at right now within this cycle. And then BTC is like right up here. Same thing, you've got your accumulation box right here, and then you've got that smaller box right there. You've got your accumulation box here, you've got that smaller box there, and see how this is playing out. Weekly, you've got a bullish engulfing candle. You've already retested this, so there really shouldn't be a reason this doesn't run and push a lot of the alts up. You've even got a cross on the daily. You've got a breakout here. I mean, there shouldn't be a reason why we'd fall. BTC dominance. That'll probably be the last thing. I know it's a long video. There's a lot of good information in here though. So the 3 days crossed down, so that's bad for BTC dominance. This is getting rejected here as well, so that's bad for BTC dominance, so good for altcoins. And just looking at this too, I mean, BTC could have topped where we're at. So, but alt should continue to run. Topped is in the wave 3 target, so just keep that in mind too. Yeah, I would have expected this to fall a lot faster, but it still looks like it's going to fall. Maybe you just come down to here, potentially. Maybe you come all the way down to here. So we'll look at some other charts when we get to that point. All right, guys. So y'all have a good week. I will talk to y'all on either Wednesday or Thursday. Keep you updated in the Telegram. I do still have a little bit of cash. I don't know if I'm going to buy anymore unless I see some crazy trade that pops up, but I'll let you know. All right, y'all have a good week.